Hello everyone, David A. Cox here with PCClassesOnline.com, and today we're going to be talking about how you can get your stuff to sync. Now, here's the funny thing. We were actually supposed to do a class on this earlier today, and I got caught in heavy traffic and managed to actually log into the class by tethering my phone to my laptop in order to tell everyone that I wasn't going to be able to make it. So as promised, here I am recording at 11:14 on a Sunday night, a class for all of you to enjoy. So we're talking about how to get your stuff to sync. That's email, contacts, your calendars, your photos, and your data like your documents, etc. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your email. There's really only one way you can get your email to synchronize. And to do that, you're going to need to, if you aren't already with one of them, you're going to need to change email addresses to one of the service providers that have IMAP support. And I'll give you a few examples. So the one that I recommend for most people these days is Gmail. Another one would be an iCloud.com account. There are other ones out there that I actually don't recommend, such as Yahoo and AOL. But basically what these mean is if you were to send an email to me, let's reverse this. Let's say I send an email to you and you're using IMAP. Your device that you're using is in constant communication with the server where that email is being sent. So what that does is if you have an iPhone and an iPad and a computer, as an example, when you delete the email in one location, it will automatically delete it for all the other devices. Whereas with other email services out there, and these are usually the cable providers, the internet providers, like Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, Time Warner, Cox.net. All of these other ones use a technology called POP, P-O-P, and I'll show you in a minute how you can figure out which one you have. And basically what they do is when you go to get your email, you're really just getting a copy of it. You're not really getting the actual thing. So what happens is then when I email you, you get a copy on all of your different devices. None of them synchronize, and it can be a bit of a pain in the butt. If you're anything like me, I get around 100 emails a day on most days. If I didn't use IMAP technology, I would be crazy. So if you'd like your emails to auto-sync, definitely consider switching to Gmail. It's well worth it, and it's free. So that's a little bit about email. Now, as promised, I'm going to show you how to find out. Now, for those of you who are on a PC, you're going to be going into the account settings on your email program. Mac users go into Mail Preferences, and there's a little tab here called Accounts. Now, the one that you're looking at right here is a dummy account, but you'll see it is Gmail, and here it says IMAP. Okay, you can also usually tell because the incoming mail server will start with IMAP, whereas the other ones would start with POP usually. So that's about getting your email to synchronize. Now, as far as getting your contacts to synchronize, there's a couple different ways. If you use Gmail, Gmail does have that feature. You can auto-sync your contacts through Google. And if you're on an Android device, it's the easiest way to do it. One of the things that I found, I had an Android device briefly, and I found that you kind of have to use Google's service for pretty much everything. And they do make it easy as far as just making it simple. But if you use Gmail, that is one option. The other option would be to use something like iCloud. And if you don't have iCloud, you can always go to actually iCloud.com and sign up for an account. But basically what happens, and I'm just going to show you my little preferences here, is iCloud is a service put out by Apple, and you can really use it technically with any email address. But it will synchronize your contacts, your calendars. If you have an iPhone, it'll synchronize your reminders. Now, it will not synchronize notes if you use anything other than an iCloud.com email address. If you wanted to synchronize notes, you have to use an iCloud.com account. It can synchronize your bookmarks if you happen to use Safari. I don't, but that's, me. It'll synchronize a whole bunch of other things here, like your photos, your documents, if you use things like Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. Okay? But iCloud, for the most part, is a really great way to be able to synchronize all of that data. It's not for everyone, but for most people it is. Obviously, if you're on an Android device, you don't have access to iCloud, you can't do it. That was actually the main reason why I got rid of my Android device, was that I had no way of taking advantage of some of the features that iCloud has. So there you go with that. As far as your calendars goes, if you're using one of the IMAP providers, once again, you have that feature. It's all built into auto-synchronize. Yahoo does it. AOL doesn't, because AOL doesn't have a calendar program. But Gmail does, as we mentioned before, and as well as iCloud.com. As far as getting your documents to synchronize, now this one's kind of tricky. There's a couple of different services that are out there that you can use that are actually free. They give you cloud storage. And for those of you who don't know what is cloud storage, basically all it is you're getting space on a computer that's somewhere you don't know where it is. So whenever you log into your device, or if you go on someone else's computer and you sign in using your username and password, you can access that storage wherever you are. So there's two different services out there that kind of really stand out in my mind. And up until recently, I was a real big advocate for one, and then the other kind of pulled a move that switched everything up. The two services that I'm referring to are Dropbox, which you can get by going to, Dropbox.com. Okay, it's a free service. Now, Dropbox starts off with giving you 2 gigabytes of space. And so you can use this service on your smartphone, on your iPad, on your Mac PC, doesn't matter. And it's nice. The problem is that 2 gigabytes isn't an awful lot. But I have never ever had an issue with Dropbox. It's really easy. Here's how it basically works. When you go to Dropbox.com, you would click sign up. Now, before you go doing this, I'm going to give you a tip at the end so you can get a little bit more than 2 gigabytes of storage. You click here to sign up, and it just asks you for some very, very basic information. Your name, email address, and you create a password. And at that point, you're going to download the program Dropbox. Now, at this point, it's very similar on a Mac as it is on a PC. For Mac users, when you open up Finder, you'll notice that you have Dropbox over here at the top left-hand side when you open a Finder window. For PC users, you're going to see an icon on your desktop, exact same thing. And basically, all it really is it's a folder. You can put whatever you want inside that folder, whether you decide to store your photos or your documents, really whatever you need. One little tip I always give out to people, and I'm not saying this to be gruesome, is if you happen to have a power of attorney document. So say, God forbid, you're in a car accident and you're knocked unconscious, or you're in a vegetable-like state. Doctors need to know, what do you want to happen? And so what's a really good idea is to give someone who you fully trust access to your Dropbox account. And if you happen to have that document there, imagine this. What if you're in a horrible accident? You might be in pain. People might not be able to recognize that you're in pain. But what if you're out of state? Would they going to go all the way back to your house to get that document? Well, if the person who you trust with that information has your Dropbox account, they can pull it up from any computer, including, theoretically, at the hospital. So again, I'm not trying to be gruesome. I'm just trying to give you an example where this could really be important as far as needing immediate access to certain types of documents or data in general. So it just basically lives on your computer. And what's great with all of these services, with both Dropbox and the one I'm going to show you in just a minute, is that let's say you're on an airplane. Okay, you actually have all of this data on your computer. Even though it stores it online, you still get a copy of it on your computer. So if I, say, have a document that's stored in the cloud, I could be on an airplane where I don't have access to the internet, work on my document, and then when I land and I eventually connect to the internet, it'll see that I have made changes, and it will upload those changes to the cloud without a problem. The other feature that Dropbox gives you access to, and I'm going to jump around just a little bit here, is when you first install it and then you plug in your phone, if you have an iPhone, I believe it'll actually do it with Android too, is it has a feature. I can actually pull it up the screen right now. Go into Preferences, where what it will do is it'll give you an option. Ah, here it is. Sorry, I went right past it. Where it says Enable Dropbox Camera Import. So for those of you who are really concerned about having your photos lost, you can make it so that when you shoot a photo, Dropbox will automatically get a copy of that photo. The only real problem with this, though, that is good to acknowledge, is the fact that photos do take up a good amount of space, especially if you take a lot of photos. So it is a really easy way to fill up your Dropbox if you're not careful. So just be aware of that. So that's a little bit about Dropbox. Now the other service, okay, and these guys really came out strong recently. The other service is Google Drive. Now Google Drive, sorry, it keeps pulling up my other, it's another fake account I have. Google Drive, when they first came out, they were only giving out 5 gigabytes of storage, which granted, even at 5 gigabytes, is still more than double what Dropbox gives you. However, since then, they have gone way up, and now for free, they give you 15 gigabytes of data. Now, to give you an idea of how much that is, for those of you who don't know what a gigabyte is, the average size of most people's entire photo library is around 8 gigabytes. So the fact that they're giving you 15 is really, really generous. And I understand why they're doing it. Google is one of those companies where they want you to use all of their products, from Google Docs to Gmail to you name it, to Google Plus, that horrible social network that no one uses. But I digress. Google Drive is actually a really nice service, and you can get it by, I believe it's just drive.google.com is the actual, yeah, that's basically the site I'm on now. It's really easy. It works the exact same way, okay, that I was just showing you. Let's see here. You do actually have the ability to pay for more storage. Let's see if I can find the pricing info here for you. No, they're not going to make it obvious. Of course not. But you do it the exact same way, and you'll see right here, Google Drive is at the very bottom when I open a Finder window. PC users, same idea. It'll be on your desktop. And you can drag and drop whatever content you want in there. I actually, on Dropbox, if you decide you do want to use Dropbox, here's the little tip. Hopefully you all know my email address. It's just very easy. It's david@pcclassesonline.com. One of the things I'm able to do is give you an invite so that you get a little bit more than normal storage. Instead of getting 2 gigs, you get 2.5. So you can either do that. Of course, you can also do Google Drive, as I've just talked them up. But whatever you decide to do is fine. You can also get more storage on Dropbox if you tell your friends. They have a bunch of little ways that you can add additional storage to whatever it is you decide to do. Now I want to show you a few tips. One of the things that some people will do, and we actually had a request for this earlier, people were asking me about how can I get my music to synchronize. And there's technically a few different ways that you can do it, and part of that is ultimately going to depend on what do you use for your music. Some people like iTunes, some people like Spotify, some people use third-party ones like Amazon. Well, one of the tricks that you can do, and this really only works if you use Google Drive, and I'm going to show you Mac users, PC users, this is the exact same step. What you can do is if you use iTunes, you have this folder called Music. Now, PC users, you have a folder called My Music, and inside Music is the iTunes library. What you can technically do is take that whole folder and just move it into Google Drive. So one of the features that you may or may not have heard about that Apple came out with a while back is a feature for iTunes, and it's called iTunes Match. It's a service that's $25 a year, but basically what it does is it just synchronizes all of your stuff in iTunes. So if you have multiple computers, when you download a song here, you have it here. It gives you the ability to store your music in the cloud. but it has a couple downsides. It doesn't synchronize your playlists, which is kind of a pain in the butt, because if you're like me, I love playlists. I have a playlist for when I work out. I have a playlist for when I'm, sitting at home. So that's kind of a downside. But just by simply taking your entire iTunes library and moving it into something like Google Drive or Dropbox, if you don't have a lot, you have now created a free way that you can store all of your music on the cloud. Now, another way that you can do this is if you use a service like Spotify. Spotify is free. It is open to the public. There is one requirement for it, okay? You do have to have a Facebook account. It can be a fake account, but you do have to have a Facebook account. And if you want to check it out, we actually just did an entire class on Spotify and also Pandora. You can check that out in the video library at pcclassesonline.com. But basically all you do here is you go into your search bar up here and you can type in whatever music you want. So I can put in Lady Gaga and boom, I have access to every Lady Gaga song out there. Okay? It doesn't have every song on earth, but it has a lot, trust me. So that would be another method that you could use. Another little tip I'll give to you, for those of you who are a little bit more tech adventurous, if you check us out on our YouTube channel, we actually just put out a video. I'm probably going to end up putting it in the video library too. But there's a little trick that you can use to hack Spotify so that all those songs that you're listening to online, you can get a copy of them. Is it legal? Hell no. But I'm not the moral police, so there you go. So that's about how you can get your music to synchronize. Now, we had a lot of questions come in when we taught this class yesterday, and I've kind of already answered a lot of the different ones here, but one of the common questions that I get in a lot from people, two questions. One is, can I use iCloud with Outlook? Okay, so Outlook is a program that's part of Windows, and I've had this issue before with clients, and I've talked to some of the head people at Apple and talked to them, and I said, how do you explain the issue? Because they and I both know what the issue is. And they came up with a great metaphor that I'll share with you now. They said, it's like saying, how can I eat 10 pounds of junk food a day and not gain a pound? Basically, Outlook does not play well with iCloud. So if you want to use its features, you really have to kind of kick the habit. If you're on a Windows computer, there are other alternatives to Outlook. You can check out programs like Thunderbird, which are great. Third-party apps that you can use that play well with other programs and work very reliably, I found. I just remembered another question that did come up during the class that I wanted to address was a couple people had questions about some of these backup services like Mozy and Carbonite and SugarSync, other ones similar to it. And they wanted to know kind of what my opinion was on them. And I think that they're great for certain types of people. I think they're great I recommend them for my enterprise clients, some of my clients in government. But the problem is that the way they work, a lot of people don't understand. First of all, they do significantly slow down your computer while they're uploading your data. And basically, all these services work the same way. They take your folders of stuff. Okay, usually you can tell it what folders you want it to synchronize, and it just stores all of those folders on the cloud. And here's the downside. If you have it back up your entire computer, when you actually need to go get that data, a lot of times it's these giant zip files that take forever to download. I've dealt with Carbonite before and been very unimpressed with them. Now, they are great in terms of, they do back it up. It's just not really friendly as far as what you get when you actually need the data. So that's where, for Mac users, I very strongly recommend that you get an external hard drive. Now, if you don't own one, I'm going to make a really strong recommendation. Shoot me an email, and I will happily send you a link to where you can get one for less than $100, and a good one too. David at pcclassesonline.com. PC users, there is no software built into Windows that works well that will back up all of your data. Fortunately, there is a special kind of hard drive that I do recommend that's made by Western Digital, and it has a program built into it, which is horrible on the Mac, but it works like magic on a PC. Go figure that one out. And it will automatically back up all of your data. It's very fast, and I've been very impressed by it. Once again, if you would like a link to that, shoot me a quick email. I'll be happy to send you a direct link to where you can get it. The other question I get is from people who have a problem where they get duplicates. Okay, and I've seen this many, many times, and more than anything, Mac users. So I want to show you the issue that I've encountered a lot and how to correct it. This happens more than anything with people who are using Gmail. Okay, and I know it sounds weird. I just talked up Gmail. Now I'm talking about problems. It's actually a very easy problem to correct. When you use a service like Gmail, and then on top of it, you use a service like iCloud, you can get duplicates because what's happening is when you create a contact in the address book program, now called Contacts on the Mac, it first goes to synchronize with iCloud, but then at the same time, Gmail's pulling that info too. And that's why you get duplicates. And so here's the easy way to do it. Open your address book program on the Mac. Click on Contacts. Now, if you're on an older version, it'll be Address Book. And click on where it says Preferences. Now, you'll see here that I have two accounts listed. One is iCloud and one is on my Mac. You want to make sure if you have more than this, you only want one. So you have to pick. It's either going to be Google or iCloud. I'd personally recommend iCloud over Gmail when it comes to syncing contacts, very specifically. So if it was, you can see right here, it says actually synchronize with Google. I do not have it checked. If you have it checked, just simply uncheck it, and that issue should go away. I hope you've learned a lot through this class. If you have any suggestions for future classes, we do take feedback very seriously. You can always shoot me an email at david@pcclassesonline.com. For those of you who may have just discovered us through our YouTube channel, I hope you will go to our website. We are a free service open to the public. You can sign up at pcclassesonline.com. Learn about everything to do with your PC, Mac, iPhone, and iPad. This is David A. Cox, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.